Honorable Director EIITF, Mr. Satyanarayana Bhatia, our Chief Guest, Shri N. Nathan, invited guests, participants of the conference, my faculty colleagues, administrative staffs, and students. A very good evening and warm welcome to all of you to this valedictory session of the EIITF conference of IIT. Over these 2 days, we have had deep insights into several issues relating to trade and finance, two special lectures by eminent academicians like Professor Bhattacharya and Professor James Markison, two policy forums, a roundtable, and 24 technical sessions where about 100 people were being presented by researchers from India and abroad. We had Dr. PCA Anand as the chief guest of the inaugural session of the conference and Dr. Ranjita as the guest of honor, who highlighted several important issues about the cross-border trade and trade statistics. Today we have Sri M. Nathan, Chairman and Managing Director, Export Credit Guarantee Corporation Limited, as the chief guest for this valedictory session. Thank you, sir, for joining us this evening. May I request our Honorable Director, Dr. Bhatia, to please felicitate our chief guest. May I now take the pleasure of requesting our respected directors to address the gathering.
Thank you, Bhavya. Good evening to all of you, particularly Sri Nathan, who has taken time to be here with us. Professor Joydeep, Professor Nitin Nandini, the other conference conveners, and definitely very significantly played the role in making this conference a very big success, and all the participants who participated so enthusiastically. This conference definitely is an indicator of the excitement with which IIT is also carrying out its research activity. And as an indicator, we see that every 2 years when we do this conference, the number of participants, of course, is increasing, but also the quality of the papers that are presented in this conference is getting better and better. We thank institutions like EPGC, Exim Bank, who support research in a very big way. From year to year, we see that these organizations have been contributing not just financially, but also technically in terms of the research inputs that go into any research. The government of India always talks about how India should become a leader in innovation in the different sectors of the country. There is a lot happening in many sectors, both manufacturing and services. And if we do see innovation in many sectors, it also means that there is a lot of research behind. No country can become an innovative country if the research quotients are not very high. So through these conferences and through other activities that we continually do in the Institute, it is our endeavor that we not only increase the innovation capacity of the government by way of policy making, in trade policy areas and many related areas. It is also, I see, as an institute, how we become more and more innovative. Every institution has to place a lot of emphasis on innovation, and which means we do various impact analysis of our activities. Just like we have project impact analysis. So you carried out a project in a particular way, but what has been the impact of that? So impact studies are done. Feasibility studies are done for various projects. Those are also research projects only, because feasibility is like before the activity is conducted, we are trying to see whether this is going to become a viable thing or not. Just like in trade policy, should we adopt any tariff measure or non-tariff measure, or what should be the extent? So a detailed study of that is done. Similarly, in the institute, we do various activities, various programs. So before the programs are launched, what we think is going to be the impact, what should be the impact, what kind of impact the public wants, and after it is launched, what has been the impact that people are seeing. So if I talk about the PhD program, I can very proudly say that the institute had a vision that this PhD program should be one of the best in the country. And having run the program for quite some time, I can definitely vouch that if I do an impact analysis study, the program definitely will be ranked very high. So thanks to all of you who participate in our programs, who have trust, who have faith in us. And I'm sure you will continue to do that and participate in a very big way, not only in these research conferences, but any other research workshops, etc., that we continually conduct from time to time. The important thing is that through research, we have to be able to make a difference in a way that maybe others have not been able to, and that's where we will see our contribution. So thank you once again to all the organizers and everybody, because this is a platform where we are getting an opportunity, as I said, to make a difference, even if it is in a small way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for such valuable and encouraging words. May I now request Professor Jaydeep Mukherjee, Head Economics Division, to felicitate our Director, Professor Bhatia. Following the tradition of EIITF, now it is the time we acknowledge and encourage the talent of young researchers for their academic contribution in their chosen field by presenting the Best PhD Award, PhD Paper Award. This year, we have received more than 45 PhD papers from young researchers from different parts of the country. After a very thorough blind review of these papers, our panel of experts have finally chosen the best paper, and it is a matter of great pride for us that the best PhD paper award this year goes out to a scholar from IIFT Kolkata, Ms. Aheli Ahmed, who is working under the guidance of Professor Sugatu Marjik and Professor Devashish Chakraborty. The title of the paper for which she is receiving the award is Impact of Competitiveness on Labor Market Adjustment Analysis in the Indian Manufacturing Sector. This is a paper co-authored with Professor Devashish Chakraborty. May I now invite Haley to come on stage and receive her award from the chief guest. May I now request our chief guest, Mr. N. Senthilnathan, to deliver the valedictory address. To introduce him, Shri Senthilnathan started his career in ECGC in 1988 and has served in various capacities in its different offices across India. He played a major role in designing new insurance products for exports and banks, addressing the requirements of merchandise and services exporters and that of relevant lending by banks. He has served at the Inter-Arab Investment Guarantee Corporation, a multilateral export credit agency in Kuwait, as a reinsurance consultant for 1 year in the year of 2006 to 7. Apart from serving as a full-time director on the board of ECGC since 2015, he is also the managing trustee of National Export Insurance Account, a Government of India trust that covers medium and long-term project exports. Sir, may I invite you for delivering the address?
Respected Director, distinguished professors, faculty members, research scholars, students, ladies and gentlemen, very good evening to all of you. It is an absolute honor to be here at IIFT and give this speech to a group of bright students who will pave the way for a new generation and enrich the society with their knowledge and skills. I thank the IIFT for providing me with such a splendid opportunity to be among us, you all. In fact, my memory goes back to certain historical fact. A century ago, it was unthinkable that trade policy, trade credit, and trade finance will be a subject of scholarly study and research. Maybe if you go back to the history, trade is considered as a lower pursuit of vocation in the state of society. But many changes we had witnessed in the society, or we have studied in the last century. The emergence of trade as a key economic prosperity, key to economic prosperity, as trade has emerged as a key to economic prosperity. Thus, its elevation as a subject of serious study is not surprising. Every nation wants to achieve growth and prosperity for its students, for its citizens. International trade has been identified as one of the important tools to achieve this objective. As students, researchers, and as practitioners of international trade, you all will have glorious future in line with its growing importance. But the growth is not going to be stable and steady. As evident, global economy is again on a downward trend with resultant impact on trade, and the role of trade finance becomes even more important now. Trade finance serves as a lifeblood of the day-to-day international trade in goods and services by enabling transactions between buyers and sellers around the globe. The role of financial institutions like banks and other multinational institutions in trade finance has always been relevant, and it is well known. I represent a niche industry that comes to the fore in times of crisis, that is export credit insurance industry, which provides sustenance during the critical periods. I would like to dwell a little on this subject. During the financial meltdown of 2007-8 and aftermath, when the bridge of trust was broken among players involved in international trade, including buyers, sellers, and financial institutions, it was export credit insurance agencies which came to the rescue and restored orderliness in the trade credit cycle, and by taking risk and saving exporters and banks from potential defaults, and sometimes withering defaults and giving them compensation in the face of insolvencies and default, thereby enabling trade and credit to survive the tough time. Once the orderliness returned, then the trade flows again went to normalcy, then the world growth has happened. In a way, export credit agencies act like firefighters. Like when you have a fire in the building, when all of you are asked to get out, the fireman will venture into the building to save any life or property, whatever possible to save. So, export credit insurance industry is just around 100 years old. It's a very young industry, most like your IFT. And it had its origin in England. And it's not surprising that it had its origin in England because given the fact that it is British who came as traders and conquered large part of the world, including India, as traders. While credit is due to them for inventing credit insurance as an instrument of expanding international trade, it should also be recognized that exploitative terms of trade, nurtured during the colonial period, survives in a muted form under various disguises even today. The export credit insurance industry sits at the interface of global finance and trade. It provides bridge between finance, trade, and the real economy, acting as a catalyst for cross-border investment and economic growth. Most credit insurance policies provide comprehensive cover, protecting against non-payment due to both commercial and political risk by protecting exporters and banks against the risk of non-payment. Credit insurance enables cross-border trade and investment. Specialized covers protects investments in overseas territory against political risk. Export credit insurance indemnifies exporters against the risk that their foreign buyers may not pay for goods or services received. Insured clients include businesses of all sizes as well as the banks and factoring companies that finance the trade of these businesses. Export credit insurers include both private credit insurance companies and public export credit insurance companies, which are commonly known as export credit agencies, and the multilateral institutions, like even World Bank has got an export credit agency arm, which is commonly known as MIGA, Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. In times of great stress, it is the ECAs that strengthen the relationship between exporters and buyers and are enablers of trade finance to a large extent and lubricate the cycle of trade. Initially, export credit insurance market was limited to public sector companies, which were totally under the control of governments because there was no profit element in this sector. And as the economy evolved and the credit insurance industry evolved, private players also started coming into the sectors in the late 1970s and 80s. Now, there is a unique and important synergy between public and private spheres of the credit insurance market, and cooperation between the two brings additional capacity, diversification, and underwriting expertise to the market, both through reinsurance and co-insurance structures. The role of export credit agencies is more important than ever. The value the ECS generate in the market is not far behind other financial institutions. The agenda of supporting the national cause and supporting the national exporters along with the micro, small, and medium enterprises helps not only the domestic economy but also caters to the global markets as well. Apart from increasing the trust between exporters and buyers, EC industry is also responsible for the protection and generation of employment, thereby nurturing the economy of a country. The Berlin Union, which is a non-profit association of export credit agencies around the world, the Berlin Union members collectively provide payment risk protection worth $2.5 trillion in a year, ensuring approximately around 15% of the value of the total global mercantile trade between nations. As you all aware, these are difficult times. As stakeholders in the trade finance sector, it becomes imperative for us to focus on and keep track of this segment more than ever. The global economy started recovering in 2021, albeit on a cautionary note in view of the emergence of different strains of coronavirus in developed as well as developing countries. The sharp growth fueled by the pent-up demand in countries across the globe subsequent to the pandemic-induced slowdown continued till the end of 2021. While the beginning of the year 2022 was on a strong note, the growth momentum was lost as a result of commodity and fuel price inflation due to the Ukraine-Russia crisis. And things are looking a lot challenging at present, considering the chance of a global recession. High inflation levels in many countries triggered by high energy prices, longer than expected supply chain disruptions, the lingering war between Ukraine and Russia are sowing the seeds for sharp increase in payment defaults and insolvencies. Indeed, challenging times ahead for ECS and for all of us. In India, the seeds of export credit insurance was sown in the year 1957 by the government of India by establishing ECGC. And ECGC has been contributing to the Indian growth story for the last 65 years. Not only the exporters to whom we provide support through credit insurance covers, but also the banks are helped by giving protection against credit risk when they extend working capital loans to the exporters. Overall, the company has supported around 20% of India's merchandise exports during financial year 2021. And we are committed to excelling in our role of promoting outbound trade from this country. My dear students, IFT being one of the most prestigious institutions in the field of international trade policy and trade finance sector in India, it is imperative that you are and will continue to contribute immensely to this sector. The views and insights of the academicians, researchers, and graduates coming from this institute will be of utmost importance. I am sure that your insights and research will bring the global best practices in the export credit sector to India as a nation, and it will vastly benefit our country in expanding its international footprint. And as a matter of information, IFT is the institution where we have sponsored chair professorship for doing research in export credit insurance and its impact on the international trade. And this is the second institution which, as a Berninian member, we are aware doing research in export credit insurance apart from a university in Offenburg University in Germany. So thanks to IFT for giving us a chance to be associated with your research and your academic thought process and impact of export credit insurance in the international trade. And now, the most relevant topic of today. As all of us know, climate change is a pressing concern these days, and this aspect is aggressively pursued by financial institutions of all the players. There are guidelines governing international project financing and export financing that poses tough challenge for companies engaged in projects which are damaging the environment and which are not sustainable in the long run. The environmental and social governance norms have become the need of the hour, and without adhering to these norms, companies and industries will face more hard time gaining access to long-term financing. While trade is an enabler of economic growth, it should be ensured that it is not achieved with irreparable damage to the environment and to society at large. It is here, as students of international trade, that you have a big role to play. The ecological and natural disasters that are frequent these days, if not checked, will lead to a challenge to the entire mankind. You all must look at this and come out with research activities in this area in order to support the environment and to identify optimal solution addressing multiple concerns and ensure that international trade fosters good environmental and social governance practices. Dear students, I would like to conclude my speech by sharing 4 important attributes that anyone must imbibe so as to develop and strengthen not only oneself, but also the society that we live in. These 4 things are gratitude, humility, reflection, and resilience. One must always be grateful to the society, family for opportunities provided, and to your teachers and gurus for the knowledge and the time that they have given to us. Had it not been for their efforts and compassion, none of us would be here today. The second pillar of great human character is humility. Without humility, whatever you achieve will be inconsequential. You will inspire others when a sense of humility prevails throughout your action, throughout your life. Humility is the harbinger of intelligence. Next, always reflect on your thought process and the course of action. As thoughts leads to actions and habits, it is essential to ensure that they are almost and always remain productive. Cultivating the habit of regular rational reflection on your thoughts always yields better results by helping you to identify destructive ones and will strengthen you when you nip them in the bud. The fourth and most important aspect is resilience. Resilience will help you in accepting the fact that failure is part and parcel of life. It is another way to learn. In addition to failure, change is also a constant factor of life, and change is also a part of life. At times, the aftermath of failure or the change will be very frightening, but we should see it as a chance to learn, explore, and an opportunity to test our limits. Finally, but most importantly, look after yourself, especially your mental as well as physical health. Above all, enjoy what you do. To all the doctorates, congratulations, you have worked hard, you deserve to be proud of this achievement and take this opportunity to celebrate. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for such an informative and valuable address. We regret to inform that our guest of honor, Shri Rajesh Gupta, Managing Director, ONGC Videsh Limited, could not join us today for his official commitment. So we close this year's conference, EIITF conference, with conference summary and vote of thanks by Professor Jaideep Mukherjee, who is a conference convener.
Sri M. Senthilanathan, Chairman and Managing Director, ECGC Limited, Professor Satinder Bhatia, Director, EIITF, Professor James Markusen, our distinguished speaker, all my dear faculty colleagues from IIT Delhi, Kolkata, and Kakinada campus, the administrative staff, faculty, and the research fellows, the students, and most important, the paper presenters. Let me quickly give you an overview of the 2 days engagement in terms of the EIITF 2022 conference. IIFT started an internationally recognized academic initiative in 2008 to organize a research conference with an aim to provide a platform for academic debate, discourse, and knowledge sharing on different dimensions of empirical research in international trade and finance. EIITF 2022 conference held at IIT Delhi campus on 15th and 16th of December 2022 is the 8th such conference where renowned academicians from across the globe, policymakers, and economists from various national and international organizations and young researchers have gathered to exchange knowledge and gain from each other's experience in different domains of research, trade, and finance. The chief guest at the conference inauguration was Dr. T.C. Anand, Member, Union Public Service Commission and former Chief Statistician of India, and the guest of honor was Dr. Ranjit Roy, CMD Oil India Limited, and an alumnus of IIT. Dr. Satinder Bhatia, Director, IIFT, delivered the welcome address, and Dr. Niti Nandini Chatnani, Professor of Finance and Conference Convener, gave the vote of thanks. The conference inauguration was enthusiastically attended by IIFT faculty from its Delhi, Kolkata, and Kakinada campuses, the invited guests, the paper presenters, researchers, and students of IIFT. In this year's conference, 2 special lectures were delivered. The first one was by Professor Pranab Bardhan, Professor of the Graduate School at the Department of Economics at the University of California, Berkeley, and chaired by Professor Sugato Marchi. The lecture was on the topic Reflection on Consequences of Trade Policy, with special reference to India, where Professor Bardhan focused on the challenges faced to develop a strong trade policy in India. The second special lecture was delivered by Professor James R. Markusen, Professor of International Economics at the Department of Economics at the University University of Colorado Boulder and chaired by Professor Manoj Pan. The lecture was on the topic Theory and Empirics of Multinational Firms, Where We Are and Where Should We Go. In his lecture, Professor Markusen focused on the core theoretical concepts and empirical findings as to what multinational firms do. A major highlight of this year's conference was a roundtable discussion on the topic post-COVID recovery and global trade scenario implications for India. The discussion was moderated by Sri Sunil Bartwal, Honorable Commerce Secretary, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. The panelists for the discussions were Professor Manoj Pan, Professor of Economics and former Vice Chancellor of IIT, Sri Piyush Gupta, Additional Secretary, Department of Commerce, Government of India, Sri Harshvardhan Singh, Senior Fellow at Council of Emerging Market Enterprises, Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy and former DDG, WTO, Professor Rajat Katuria, Dean School of Economics and Humanities and Social Sciences, Srinagar University, Professor Dipendu Maiti, Professor of Economics from Delhi School of Economics, Dr. James Nedumpera, Professor and Head at Center for Trade and Investment Law and Center for WTO Studies, IIITF. The members deliberated on the short-term and long-term consequences of the ongoing global scenario, especially focusing on how dominant economies in the world market are carving their recovery charts in the post-pandemic world and their implications for India. The conference also saw two policy forums on issues of significant contemporary policy relevance, namely role of the state in the fourth industrial revolution, concerns of SDGs, OEM and led GVCs, and the post-pandemic impact, which was held in collaboration with Center for WTO Studies, EIITF, and India's Australia trade relations towards building resilient and secure supply chain, which was held in collaboration with University of Western Australia, where the panelists discussed on the role of the state in overcoming market failure, supply disruptions due to natural disasters, the advantage of moving from low-tech to high-tech farms and industries, etc. This year's conference received a wide response from the academia and the policy research community, and a total of around 200 papers were submitted from universities and research institutes from India and abroad. After a suitable peer review process, around 110 papers divided into 24 technical sessions were selected for presentation at the conference. The different technical sessions have generated significant research inputs with widespread future policy dimensions, particularly on issues related to service trade, capital flows, foreign direct investment and technology transfer, digitization, assessment of the regional integration process, and identification of policy-induced and structural constraints that have important policy implications. The conference concluded today with valedictory address by Sri M. Sentilanathan, Chairman and Managing Director, ECGC. So before I conclude, may I please deliver the customary vote of thanks. On behalf of the conference organizing team of IFT 2022, it is my pleasure to thank our chief guest for the valedictory function, Sri N. Sentilanathan, Chairman and Managing Director, ECGC, for taking out his time to be here to deliver the valedictory address, and for his valuable insights on some of the most contemporary issues for research in international trade and finance. I also thank our director, Professor Satinder Bhatia, and past director, Professor Manoj Pan, for their constant guidance and support in planning this conference and bringing it to its conclusion today. IIFT and EIITF are pleased to have our distinguished speakers, Professor Pranab Bardhan and Professor James Markusen, here for the conference. We are grateful to them for taking out the time to deliver special lecture at the conference. We are also grateful to Professor T.C. Anand, Dr. Ranjit Rath, and Sri Rajoshi Gupta for their gracious presence at different periods of the conference. We are thankful to Sri Sunil Batwal, Honorable Commerce Secretary, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, and Sri Piyush Gupta, Additional Secretary, Department of Commerce, Government of India, and all the panelists for taking out their time from the busy schedule and participating in the roundtable discussion. I also thank the Center for WTO Studies and the University of Western Australia for partnering with IIFT in the 2 policy forums that were scheduled over the 2 days of the conference. I express sincere gratitude to all the conference sponsors for their generous support to our endeavor. Thank you, ECGC, ONGC Videsh, Oil India Limited, Center for WTO Studies, Center for Regional Trade, and Indian Bank. I take this opportunity to thank all my faculty colleagues for their contribution in various roles in this conference and for their valued participation. Special thanks to the conference co-convener, Professor Niti Nandini, Professor Vishwajit Nag, Anirban and Sugandha for their unrelenting help and support. I'm grateful to the registrar for his support for the conference, and to my colleagues from administration and from the computer center for their constant backing provided by them at every stage. The conference could not have been possible without the constant support and untiring effort of Sanjay Gandhi from the Economics Division. Special thanks to our support staff, Sandeep and Rahul, the entire AVO and the computer team for their untiring efforts to make this conference a success. I must express special gratitude to the diligent and enthusiastic research team of Faraz, Geeta, and Niva, our PhD scholars, Obidami, Ritika, Charudika, and Shivani, our ME Economics students for their untiring efforts to make this conference a success. They have meticulously taken care of every little detail, and we should simply not have been here today without their support. Last but not the least, the conference has received very hearty participation from academicians and researchers from institutions within and outside India, and I'm grateful to each and every paper presenters who presented their research work over the 2 days of the conference. Special thanks to all the session chairs, discussants, and the session in charge for their dedicated support. We look forward to the 9th EIITF conference to be held at IIT Kolkata campus in 2024. Thank you all. So may I now request the distinguished guest and all the other members to kindly go to the atrium and have their tea, and also the paper presenters may collect their certificates from the registration desk. Thank you.